What up, Elena? Hey, guess what? We are those motherfuckers!
Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome to Frolfcenter, presented by Frolfer Magazine. I'm Austin Lytle, as usual, with the boys. Just, follow us on all the social medias, Facebooks, the YouTubes. I guess we're on Twitch now.
Yeah, we're on Twitch now. We're
Twitter,
on
Instagram. I mean, we got some cool stuff. You can win some cool stuff. What up, boys? How y'all doing?
Good, man. A note to the viewers. We're probably being watched by the PDGA right now. Very, very closely. They're probably right on us. So best behavior, please, in the chat, or else we're going to get in trouble. Anyway, I'm Adam. I'm drinking margaritas.
Get in trouble.
You're drinking margaritas?
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, guys.
What up with you, Cody?
Whiskey and ginger ale, as always.
Nice.
Cody.
Oh, I forgot. Can I say something real quick?
Here, let me go first.
Yeah, go first.
Doubles at Lee Farm Park every Wednesday, 5:30 start. $5 to play. There's some add-on stuff, Ace One, blah blah blah.
That's Durham, right?
Lee Farm, Durham, 5:30.
Nice. Tomorrow starts for Fridays at Perkins Park in Atlanta, Georgia. It's week 1, Cinderella story. Short pads, 420 sign up, 450 tee off. $2 to play, but if you're one of the ladies coming out, we're going to waive that for tomorrow to get the ladies back out there. Everyone's got end of season trophies, men's and women's both. $3 for CTPs and Ace. There is a free CTP every single week. You're going to get Frolfer hats, Frolfer sweatshirts. You're going to get DGU gift cards. You're going to get all sorts of discs. I got a bunch of Halo stuff I'm going to bring out there. It's going to be a lot of fun. $5 for tier payout, $10 all in. After every Frolfer Friday, we're going to go to Halfway Crooks Brewery there in Summer Hill. And if you go bogey free any week, I'm going to buy your first beer for you. So,
Well, shit.
Will the time ever be pushed back on that?
yeah, it will be. 420 and 450 just for the beginning of the year. Then we'll move back as daylight allows.
I shouldn't have gone first on that one.
Yeah, why is that? Because I had the graphic and everything.
Yeah, you had. Yeah.
Did I show you up? Is that what happened?
I don't know. We'll go drink afterwards.
Yeah, sorry. I got good night. Sometimes I have fun ideas. So anywho, our guest tonight is Robert Leonard. You've seen him before on the show back in episode, I think it was 53. Back then, he was part of the PDGA disciplinary committee. Now he is the logistics and operations guy. Plus, he's the tournament director for the brand new Champions Cup coming to the IDGC in Abilene, Georgia, April 14th to 17th. It is Mr. PDGA himself, Mr. Robert Leonard.
Good evening.
Bob. Hell yeah,
sir.
you're loud as hell.
Let me get those loud. There we go.
Me loud? Never.
Never. And you're not going to
No.
talk a lot. This will be a nice, quick episode, I'm sure. As
Never.
It always is.
You gotta draw content out of me all the time.
Yeah, and so I know,
That's it.
Robert. I know that there are people watching you. There's going to be a tight interview, very right down the middle. If we get anywhere weird, just give me a wiggle of the glasses. If Danny Voss texts you, you need to comment down. Yeah, exactly. Just give us a signal, and we'll make Danny Voss happy. It'll be fine.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, Robert, thanks for coming on again, man. We really appreciate it. We appreciate everything you do at the old PDGA. Tell us about Champions Cup. Where, when, what, why?
Yeah, so we are teeing off 2 weeks from today. We are going to be in Abilene, Georgia at the International Disc Golf Center. If you've never been to the International Disc Golf Center, my goodness, it is a weekend trip. You know, I always tell people, I was like, what's the worst course on that property? And you just sit there and think, because they're just all incredible. All three are incredible. You know, you got Steady Ed, which is like the easiest of the three, but it's really scenic and it's got the lake and all of that, right? The easiest, like I shot like 56.
Is it easy? What?
50, I'm shooting 56 and it's the easiest course.
Easy for Matlack. That's about it.
Yeah, and the Jim Warner course is just a really, really solid. Like, there's nothing beautiful about that. Like, you don't have the scenic views, but just a really, really well-designed course that makes you throw a lot of shots. And like, I think Warner is honestly my favorite on the property because I
hear that a lot.
And I like courses where I'm not going to shoot 45, but I'm also not going to shoot 70, right? You know, I kind of like, and that's to me, like, I'm usually like high 50s, low 60s out there. So that's like a perfect course for me. And then W.R. Jackson, I mean, goodness gracious.
What can you say about W.R. Jackson that hasn't been said about, Dante's Inferno?
And somebody gave me some flack when I said this on Facebook one time. I think it's one of, if not the hardest course in the world without OB. And then somebody was like, well, there's a creek OB on, but you know what, I mean, like USDGC OB, right? You know, where you can, I mean, there's only 2 or 3 holes in that entire course you can go out of bounds, and it takes pretty poor shot. I mean, 18 is the most common, 16 is pretty common to go out of bounds on, but that's about it. And the thing, and W.R. Jackson, just for the record, is where the entire event is taking place. All 4 rounds are on W.R. Jackson. The way
why not the other courses? Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. One of the goals of this event was we wanted to make it stand out and be a different major, right? And that's honestly where a lot of the match play stuff was born. We've obviously decided to move on from that format, but think about the Pro World Championships. Let's compare this event to the Worlds. I'm not trying to say this is on the caliber of the Worlds. It's not, right? The analogy that I've constantly used is like, the 4th best major in golf is probably the PGA Championship, but it's still the 4th best event in the world, right?
Yeah.
So we're not trying to say this is the Worlds. We're not trying to say this is USDGC. I think those are clearly A and B, and then probably European 3, and we're 4. But, if you think about it comparing to the Worlds, right, or comparing to USDGC, right, Worlds and USDGC have very different feels to them, right? USDGC is one course, the same course every single year.
Well, except for the mozzarella sticks and all,
Well, but it's the same location. It's minor tweaks every year, right? Right. And the qualification is very unique, right? You've got to finish top 5 at select events. You have to be a world champion. You have to finish top 10 every year, the year before, right? Well, the Worlds is 2 courses every year, and it's also 5 rounds for the champions. And it's more of a points and ratings based, right? If you receive so many points and you're rated so much, you can get in, right? So USDGC is much more about one course and one good tournament to get here, right? Whereas Worlds is more about 2 courses and your entire year. This is kind of both, right? This is kind of a hybrid, right? We've got one course, right? And we've got a unique qualification process very similar to USDGC, where if you win one of these events, you get in. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't, yes, you do have to have a 900 player rating to play an Elite Series event or a major. But if you're under 900, you're probably not going to win an Elite Series. If you're under 1,000, you're probably not going to win an Elite Series event, right?
Sorry, Lloyd Wema. Yeah.
Right. But it very much kind of has that Roy McIlroy 10 Cup feel where like this anybody can come and get in. And so it has that different feel, right? So to answer the question about why we're not using Warner, well, we really are really specifically sticking to one course. So then we've kind of got USDGC, which has got their qualification process. The Worlds has got theirs. And now the Champions Cup has a unique 3rd qualification process.
Nice. And the qualification process is having won a tournament last year or event, or everybody get what how do you get in the Champions Cup?
Well, there's a select list of events, all Elite Series and majors, those winners, right? But we're also very intentional about all the different national champions, right? Like the Croatian national championships is a qualifier. The Australian national championships, right? The Baltic national championships in Iceland. Like we've got like people from 7 or 8 nations coming because they won their country's national championship, right? I mean, to me, it's like the Olympics, right? It's not the best 50 skiers in the world. It's a representation of the best people from each nation.
New
Right.
faces. Yeah, you got a lot of new faces.
Correct.
You're gonna see a lot of people probably come over here and pick up sponsorships too. You're gonna have the Australian
Yeah.
folks come over and
Right.
dress somebody, you know.
So that's how you get in, and if obviously there's a lot of repeat winners, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But if like let's say I finish second and Macbeth wins, and then next week I finish second and Macbeth wins, it doesn't pass down, right? USGTC passes down, right?
Yeah.
So throughout the year it gets easier to qualify for USGTC. In theory, it's never easier for our event to ever continue to get easier. But even if we had, I see Danny clapping.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
all right, okay, I got
Already.
the
I already feel the fuzz, man. The fuzz is already on us.
No text from Danny. We're off to
That's
a good
good.
start.
I haven't gotten a tweet from him yet either, so we're good so far.
No, but even if every single event had a unique winner, right, which we know is not going to happen,
Right.
we would not invite enough players to fill the field, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So then after that, then it is a traditional rating space where if you're over 1020, you're in this slot, and then over 1,000. And we filled very quickly once we opened it up to the 1,000 plus, and the FPO followed the same model. Now the FPO, if they had, there's 40 FPO spots, so if we'd had 40 unique FPO winners, we would have filled that way. But but then, and like I said, and then people won and aren't playing, right? So there's people who qualified that chose not to play. So there's a lot of elements to that as well.
So, and if people want to spectate, how do they go about that? Can you give the folks information on that?
Yeah, so we are ticketing the event. You have to have a ticket to get in. Our VIP tickets sold out extremely quickly, so those are out. So the only tickets that we have are what we're calling Bushnell Boulevard. Obviously, Bushnell is our presenting sponsor, and Bushnell Boulevard tickets. The easiest way to look at them at is general admission, right? Very, very cheap. You can get in for $15 with a Bushnell Boulevard pass. It's $15 for Thursday and Friday a piece, $20 for the weekend days, or you can buy a week long and it's only $60. And along with that, you'll get a pair of Bushnell binoculars as a player pack almost.
Nice.
Tickets are available on Disc Golf Scene. Just search PDGA Champions Cup. There's 3 of those. There's the actual player registration, which obviously you wouldn't want to go to. If you're interested in volunteering, we have a volunteer registration form, and then we have the tickets for sale on Disc Golf Scene.
How many spectators are you expecting between all those different packages?
On Thursday, we are expecting about 125.
Mm-hmm.
On Friday, about 250. On Saturday, 400 to 450. And on Sunday, about 350. And
1,300 people, something? Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of duplication in that,
Oh,
right?
gotcha.
Yeah. So it's 600 and something tickets have been sold, but there's a lot of duplication. Like somebody has 2 or 3 days.
Besides the VIP, did you put any limits on spectator passes?
Yeah, everything has limits. Like we only have like 20 more tickets left for Saturday because there's
Gotcha.
a lot of logistics of parking and getting people in, and and we also there's a imagine if you paid money to go to I'm going to say it, to a hockey game. I got it in. Go Canes.
Go Canes. Okay, whatever, Robert, we get it.
We're up 1-0. Let's go. No, but like imagine if you paid all this money to go to a hockey game and you can't see.
Right.
You'd be livid, right? So there's some of that as well to making sure that our ticketed spectators can see and enjoy what they're paying for, as opposed to let's just sell a bunch of tickets so we can make a bunch of money. That's not the goal whatsoever.
Yeah, and WR Jackson's a tough spot to sell tickets to.
Yeah, and we had to unfortunately kind of limit some of the views, right? Like like the number one example was hole 4. If you've ever been out there, I mean it's
you can't
shoulder to shoulder. I mean it would if you had 600 people following a group. I without exaggeration, it might take 20 or 30 minutes for the 600th person to get through.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's if they want to. That's if you don't have somebody in the middle line saying, "I'm just going to stay away for the next."
Exactly.
How much money's on the line?
We are guaranteeing a purse of at least $100,000.
Wow.
Winner is going to get what?
We don't know yet,
And
that's not me trying to avoid that question.
Sure, just curious.
We truly don't know. I mean, there's so many. When you're doing an event like this, there's a lot of projections built in of guess, like, we're still selling tickets, right? Like, I mean, I might sell 100 tickets tomorrow night. I have no idea, right?
Yeah.
You know, so, and you know, we also kind of have like what I call like rainy day money, where like all of a sudden something breaks and we got to go spend $3,000 or $4,000. Like, you know, like, so there's a lot of projections, but we are guaranteeing at least $100,000 total purse.
You see, I like that you call it rainy day money and not slush fund. That sounds way more professional. Yeah.
Agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree. Okay. Okay, sorry. I'm getting off topic. My bad.
So give us the timeline. When did it start? How long has this been in the process? How long has Champions Cup been in the works for you?
Yeah, so to really understand the history of this tournament, you have to understand that even though it's in 2022, it was directly impacted by COVID. So the original intent and the future intent of this event is it to be a PDGA owned biddable event, right? The difference between a PDGA owned and a non PDGA owned is like USCTC is owned by Innova. It's not owned by the PDGA, right? The World Championships is an event that it's so cool saying we now that I work for the PDGA. Yeah, it's an event that we own, right? And all of our members own too, right? Gotta get that in. Yeah. So no, so it's a PDGA owned major. And like the Worlds, right? The Worlds is not like USCTC isn't biddable, right? USAMS is not biddable. Right? This event is, right? It's supposed to rotate like the Worlds does, like Master Worlds, like, you know, Junior Worlds, all these events, right? So it was originally supposed to be in the 2022 bid package, which went out in 2020. Well, 2020 majors got canceled, right? So 2020 majors got pushed to 2021, and we had already awarded 2021 for 2022. Right. So there was so what happened was there was never a bid package sent out for 2022 because 21 got pushed to 22.
Right.
So the majors committee led by Nate Heinold went to the board led by Nate Heinold. And well, at the time it was Justin Minichelli. But went to the board.
I'm sorry, who was that? Who was that other guy you mentioned?
We said no hockey. We said no Justin.
Sorry.
Come on, dude, that was kind of a jerk move.
That was kind of a jerk move, Robert.
Regardless of that infamous statement, he was the board president at the time.
Yes.
And they basically said, hey, like, what are we supposed to do with Champions Cup in 2020? Oh, my phone just went off. I was like, oh, Danny's texting me. No, hockey update. We're up 2-0. Oh no. So no, biddable major, and went to the board, and they basically said, nope, we still want the event to happen at the International Disc Golf Center to get it rolling. In 2017, the PDGA learned a lot about events at the IDGC, right? It's the PDGA does not have people on staff to run events. Like, it is a full-time side job. And at 2017 Worlds, a staff member, Zach Schaefer, was the tournament director. And so long story short was Joe Chargaroff, our executive director, one of his things was, if we're going to have this International Disc Golf Center, we need to find an outside employee, right? So at the time, I mean, I've only been employed at the PDGA for like 2.5 weeks officially. So I was not an employee. They asked me. That was in December of 2020, and talked about it with wife and my assistant tournament director, Chuck Conley, and Chuckster, as he's known. And,
we know Chuck.
Yeah. Accepted the offer, and so I've been working on this since December of 2020.
Nice.
Look at this. This Ryan Hunt. Nice to meet you. No, the answer is hard no. Hard no.
I can also say no.
Yeah, definitely no. Danny says Billy Ashton had asked. It's going to rotate. Danny Voss says Michigan next year, and is the bid process out for 2023 yet, or no?
It's already been awarded. Yeah, Michigan's 2023.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is 2020. COVID's got me messed up.
Yeah,
2024.
So the Champions Cup is going to rotate.
Yeah, but 2024 is not decided.
Rotate is not the right word, right?
It'll be
bidded each year, right? Yeah. It's not like the U.S. Open in golf has like 10 sites that they rotate through. Right. It's not what this is, right? It might, if it works out that way, it's just coincidental that the repeat locations had the best bids. But 2024 bids, 2024 bids are going to be accepted this fall, and then that will be included in that 2024 bid package as a biddable major, just like Worlds are.
Hey, Kevin McCoy, did you hear that, Kevin? Kevin and Courtney, did you hear that? Just want to put that out.
Yeah, there's been talks of some stuff going down at Griffin.
Just concerned.
So,
So what about you? Your personal timeline as the TD of this, like, what was your first day you worked on Champions Cup stuff, and when will you be done working on Champions Cup stuff?
Day one was in December of 2020 when I went. After 2018 Am Worlds and running that, I kind of told my wife, I've run 2 of these majors. Like, I think I'm done. Yeah. And then this kind of happened, and it was an incredible opportunity to work with an event at the International Disc Golf Center. I mean, we have a full-time staff that their job is to maintain that property, right? Mm-hmm. That's always question one when you run something like this. Who's going to get the courses ready? Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like, I pride myself in somebody who has worked hard, and I hate doing coursework. Like, it is like my pet peeve. Like, my club here in Raleigh, North Carolina, the Capital Area Disc League, they might have seen me in 5 work days ever. Like, it is not my thing.
You're not a weed whacker kind of guy.
No. So that was really attractive right off the gate, right? And I felt that my personal resume, lifetime resume, so to speak, kind of had this missing check mark because I had never run an Elite Series event or a national tour. Like, I've done a pro major, but it was a Masters. It was Tim Selinsky, so I didn't really have that open major, where all the eyes of the entire world are on it. And this just felt like the right one because of the incredible staff the IDGC has and partnering directly with the PDGA. Like I said, I was not an employee at the time. If I was, they would not have asked me. And Chuckster, man, I mean, this is the 3rd major that I've been the tournament director of, and this is the 3rd time he's been, I don't say my number 2, I say my 1B, right? And Chuck and I just have an incredible friendship that goes beyond, disc golf, and our strengths are opposing, and that just makes us such a great team. So
this is the same Chuck from DG1, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was
not quit putting while I'm talking, Chuck.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was like the first week, was just kind of thinking about it, and then going to my wife and was like, so that thing I said I'm never going to do again. So this happened in May after the event. I'm taking her to Hamilton and the nicest steakhouse in Raleigh.
And right in the middle of a bite, like big old bite.
What's the nicest steakhouse in Raleigh?
Oh my goodness, Angus Barn.
Angus Barn. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. So going to see Hamilton and then Angus Barn the same day. So that's my thank you gift. Yeah. Gotta love thank you gifts out of joint checking accounts.
It's a weird feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
little double dippy. It's weird.
Yeah. So the event is 2 weeks from today is when we get started. I would say my work on the event will end the Monday after the event when I get back into Raleigh. Mm-hmm. And then at that point, if I was still in my previous career, then I would just go back to work on Tuesday and keep chugging along. But I'm going to be working the Dynamic Disc Open as a PDGA employee and member. Our operations logistics team, we support all of the Elite Series and majors. So I'll come home and kind of decompress for a week and then jump on a plane and head to Emporia.
Nice.
We'll get to that. But are we going to try to keep the same timeline in the year for the Champions Cup? Is it always going to be the week after the Masters, or?
I don't know about that. I mean, spring for sure, right? I mean, the spring major fits perfectly in our calendar, right? There's a lot of things that went into picking this. We knew we wanted it in the spring, right? We had to consider time change, right? We had to make sure it was after time change, right? We had to, and then our next question was, because it's Augusta, well, we can't do this before the Masters or after or during the Masters. So then that kind of dictated that. And then we looked at the tour schedule. The traditional majors are scheduled first every year, and then the Elite Series are kind of built around it. but we kind of had a general idea. Like we knew we'd start out with Vegas and Arizona, and then we'd have our Texas swing. And we knew at some point we'd make that loop back into Arkansas DDO, right? And it was just like, okay, this fits really well in this little spot. So I don't want to say it's always going to be this, right? You know, in Michigan, it might make sense for it to be after Jonesboro. Like, I mean, I truly don't know, right? But
not everybody's got helicopters, right? We got to
right.
make it on the tour. Yeah.
But the main point is the majors are scheduled first, and then the Elite Series bounces around or works through around that is the way to say that.
Almost like a satellite tournament, but not.
Yeah.
Right. Any predictions on the winner Champions Cup?
I don't want to be like Jay Billis, who refuses to give predictions on games that he calls, right?
Sure.
I think my dark horse is Adam Hammes.
Okay.
In 2017 Worlds, he was up there.
He was.
And then he was in the playoff at the Hall of Fame Classic.
Okay, so he knows WR Jackson.
He
knows
traditional,
and he's got a good shot for it.
Yeah, so he's traditionally played well there, right?
Vinny.
Yeah, I if I really had to pick somebody right now, it'd be Chris Dickerson.
Yeah.
Because WR Jackson makes you want to throw.
Man.
But like, if you stand on WR Jackson and don't like, this is the way I explain it. Like, if you did not know how far the hole was, it makes you want to throw fairway drivers in mid ranges. But then you look at the distance and how far it takes to get to the landing zone, and you're like, I cannot throw a mid range or a fairway driver here.
I mean, those guys are throwing fairways in mid.
Right.
Yeah,
but,
not this guy.
right.
Yeah.
So when it comes to somebody who excels at 400-foot wood shots, my head goes Chris Dickerson.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
And
think
if anybody's never played this course before, Austin can land in the landing zones. I have played that course, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 times, and I have yet to even come remotely close to landing zones. And like, I've had some good rounds out there, but it's like not.
So
yeah, it's not easy.
Hole 18 is a 3-able par 4, right? A 3-able par 5.
No, it's not a par 5. Are you guys playing that as a par 5?
It's a par 5.
I took a 4 one time. I've seen
Yeah, it's the easiest hole in the course for sure.
Correct.
Like,
Correct.
right. So that is a hole that the top and elite players expect to eagle at worst birdie, right? At worst birdie, right?
At worst birdie, yeah.
So I remember Nate Heinold, and Nate Heinold is obviously known for his tournament director. He's like 970. Like, he's a legit player.
And you're not bad. You're 959, I think I looked.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh, yes,
generous.
that is exactly correct.
It's a good thing you're probably friends with Chuck, huh?
And a couple of those guys that
Kennedy
that used to work there when the Hall of Fame was going on, they're really good golfers as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So my point was, you got a legit pro golfer in Nate Heinold, right? He's not cashing an Elite Series, but he's probably top 5, top 10 in his area, right?
Yeah.
And he walked. I remember I ran into him at the Hall of Fame Classic, and he walked off the course, and he said, "Robert, the only birdie I had was 18, which kind of is a par, and my round was 997." Yeah. And you're just like, oh, I mean, just think about it, right? Because if you really think about like hole 18 is kind of a par 4.5, and that was the only hole he birdied, and he was 997 round. Like, that just tells you how hard that course is.
That's insane.
So Conrad and Dickerson is kind of where my head goes because of the style of course. But Hammes is
Ricky's on a tear, but Ricky needs to air it out a little bit.
Yeah, Hammes is my dark horse just because he has played so well there in the past.
The fact that Macbeth and Michael Johannes can go to a playoff in the same tournament.
Johansson.
Johansson, yeah. I'm sorry. Can go to a playoff in the same tournament is just kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, and on the FPO side, this course is the absolute perfect Paige Pierce course. And that is not because she's the greatest female player of all time. That's not why I'm saying that. But
don't be biased,
Well, no, I mean, she's the only female that can throw 350, 400-foot fairways and mid-ranges. And we just talked about that's what's needed, right? I mean, I guess Jennifer Allen too. I mean, that's probably
Jennifer
wrong for
Allen,
me to
Katrina
say.
Allen.
Yeah,
That's
but
probably wrong for me to say. But you understand what I'm trying to say?
yeah, I do. Yeah,
Yeah,
I got 20.
the power differential is huge.
correct. So
If Holly Finley could throw a mid-range as far as she could throw a Roadrunner, Holly Finley would be dangerous on this course. But Holly Finley's got to use the bevel edge disc to get out there where Paige might not have to.
Exactly. You know, let me rephrase what I said. 90% of the women's field is having to throw all out, to get to where Paige and those players are throwing mid ranges and fairway drivers, right?
Oh yeah, we've also got the Euros too. Evelina and
Kristen Tatar and
Tatar,
I think
it is. I don't have the data to support this.
Yeah.
I think this might be the most elite FPO field I've ever seen.
right.
Oh yeah, because we've got all the Europeans over here, which is fantastic. All the other ladies have stepped it up. Everyone's touring in bands now. Like, I'm happy for the growth in FPO right now. Obviously, there are things that can still be done, but that's going to be a thing for a while. Working on that's going to be a while.
Have you ever seen the movie? This is classic Robert. That's kind of out there, but bear with me here. It's on point. You ever seen the movie Accepted?
Yeah.
Very funny movie.
Oh yeah, it is.
Hilarious.
It has the high pitched shriek that was at everyone.
The turd balls.
This is the movie where the kid slacked off in high school and he had made a fake college to impress his parents.
Oh, the South Harmon Institute of Technology.
Yes.
Yes, there we go. Now it's Frolfcenter.
The SHIT
Ask me
sandwiches.
about my wiener. That's where you're going with the FPO? Oh, sorry.
The mascot was the sandwiches, right? Anyway, but there's this line in there, and like, I love when stupid movies have just such poignant lines that just is they said that when the elite the Harmon Institute or whatever it was actual Harmon the elite school, right, which was basically like a fake version of Harvard is what it was basically was like do you know how many people we reject every year? Like that tells you how elite we are, right? At the end of this event, go look at the FPO players that do not cash.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna, and to me, when you see that level of elite fields like we're seeing at this event, look at the people who do not cash, and it's just astonishing.
I think you can say the same thing on the MPO side. Like every week I look at it and I'm like, damn, this dude didn't cash. This dude missed a cut. This dude missed what happened to him?
It is insane. The sidebar,
the parody is getting up there in disc golf right now.
Sidebar, literally my favorite quote in any movie of all time is one of these like stupid movies that just got this brilliant, poignant moment was in Road Trip. and they're going down this, very early in the movie, they're going down this dirt road and they're like, oh, we're lost. And he was like, no, this is a shortcut. And they're like, there's no way that it would be on this dirt road. And the guy says, well, of course it's supposed to be a challenge. If it was not a challenge, it'd just be called the way.
Right.
Yeah, I started thinking, and now I'm like, why do we even call anything shortcuts? Like, why is it not just the way?
Just the way? Yeah, now, yeah.
So just like that stupid movie has this like brilliant line that I've just like, it's like that observational comedy that you're just like, yeah, it's a good point. Anyway, I'm all
so true, dude.
It's like the writer's room got to that joke at like 2:30 in the morning, just riddled with caffeine, nailed it at home. Yeah. Exactly.
It was some guy who had done stand up and was like, I got a joke that always lands,
Yeah. Or never lands, and I'm gonna make it land in the movie. Yeah,
yes, I know this joke is brilliant. It's in my movie.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Sorry.
I want to know you're good. No, I think we nailed it. I think you're on Paige and you're on Hamas is the dark horse, Dickerson or one of the other Woodsy boys for the MPO.
FPO dark horse. It's hard to call Holcomb.
Kona Panis is due.
It's hard to call Holcomb a dark horse as decorated as she is. She has not really played. She hasn't had a great start to her year. And then you get her in some trees and she starts working that sidearm. And Kona's Kona is a Bushnell player. She's their top FPO player. And Bushnell's our presenting sponsor, so that can be
probably got the nice Airbnb with a good pillow, so it's going to be great. Yeah,
that could be a motivating factor, or that can be who knows, right? So there's a lot of these little storylines for sure.
Yeah, somebody said something on Twitter about Kona having a slow start, and I said, her lifestyle has just changed so dramatically. Can you imagine what that does to someone's mental state? All of a sudden, here's all this money, and
And
you've got to adjust to this new lifestyle. Yeah.
I don't think people really appreciate how hard changing manufacturers is.
Oh,
Yeah.
I went back to Prodigy for 2 rounds, and I said, nope, I'm going to my stuff back.
Before my PDGA days, I was a sponsored player with Discraft, and I was 80% Innova, and then a random Buzz and Wizard, and it took me a good 6 or 7 months to really get comfortable, because you go through you go through this moment of okay, I've got this disc, so let's go find a flight chart and let's find this equivalent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you start there, and then you're like, well, wait a minute, this really isn't the same. I need something a little more stable. So then you go to the flight chart, and then you go through, okay, I always threw a Leopard on this hole, and now I have a Stalker in my hand. And they're not really the same. So you're you go through this I'm throwing a Leopard, but this is, I've always thrown Leopard on this hole. And you go through this phase, and it takes so long to get it out of your mind to know this is a Stalker hole, right? I think it's not easy.
I think it's a little easier nowadays, though. A little
100%.
Bit. For Conrad to switch over to MVP, who has, I don't know, 60 molds. I don't even know how many molds they have now. I think it's a little easier nowadays, but still a very hard.
Yeah, Rick made the conversion back to Latitude, and
he
be doing okay.
And Rick also has a full right. It's also easier when you can throw both backhand and sidearm equally well,
right?
Because you don't have to worry about, okay, I had this perfectly beat rock, and now I got to find a mid range that'll fly you don't got to deal with all that.
Right.
I'm exclusively backhand, and that's what took me so long with my throwing putters and my throwing mid ranges.
Yeah, it's hard to replace a disc that you've been throwing for 5 years and
correct.
Has a lot more glide than out of the box does.
And Kona obviously has a sidearm, but she's predominantly backhand. So Kona's awesome. She's been really helpful in the Champions Cup. She came down and met us in October. If you've seen the PDGA walkthrough video, you've seen her. Yeah, she's awesome. She's an awesome person, and she's going to get there, right? And I'm rooting for her. She'll get there, but it doesn't surprise me that she's struggling like this because she is predominantly backhand. And it kind of takes me back to when I went through that same thing. I'm not trying to say I'm nearly the level of her, right? But I saw a lot of her struggles in myself going through that at C tiers instead of Elite Series on camera, right?
Even a fresh putter can be a difference,
Oh,
if you've got a perfectly seasoned AVR that you've been using for the last 5 years, it flies a lot different than a brand new Judge.
Man, if I replace the seat on my stool, I play worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll get the new seat on my stool, and I'll play way worse for a week. I swear to God.
It was honestly one of the best things that ever happened to my game because I was the guy that putted with the AVR that I'd had for 15 years. And then I remember one time it cracked and I was like, what am I going to, then my putting sucked for 6 months. And then I airballed into a lake, and when I switched to Discraft, I kind of committed to, all right, I'm going to learn how to putt with a brand new putter. Mm-hmm. And now, when my putter gets too beat in, I'm like, nope, time to go. So I kind of broke that crutch, so to speak. So I wish her the best, but it's not an easy switch. It really is.
Somebody in the industry needs to do a study on the quality of a player versus the amount of money they spend on plastic, or amount of plastic they go through. Where it's I'm a guy who bought a ton of backups as soon as I found something I liked, but I don't play hard enough to need my backup. I have too many back. I'm on that weird grinding loop of I've got too much, but it's whatever. Okay, I want to know now, you've just switched. Obviously, we talked about it a little bit. You've hinted at it a few times. You were on the disciplinary committee for how long?
14 years and 10 as chair.
Wow, yeah. So I remember last time you were on the show, that's what you were still doing, and we were talking to you about, okay, what's the worst thing you can do? The worst thing you can do is make up a fake PDGA number, right? Now, you're the logistics and operations manager. Is that the correct title?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tell us about why you went there, what your background was that led you to want to do this. Give us the transition into being a full-time employee and all that stuff.
Yeah, so I for clarification, I'm not the operations logistics
manager. No, you are
I'm a correct.
Okay.
There's 3 of us. Myself, Rebecca Duffy, and Patrick Graziani, and we all report to Jeff Jacqua, who's our director of competition.
Okay. And is that separated geographically or not?
Unintentionally.
Unintentionally?
Or coincidentally is maybe the better word to say.
Sure.
Rebecca's in Oregon, Jeff's in Vegas, and Patrick's in Appling.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so my background's in finance. As most people with journalism degrees do, worked nothing.
Wait, you have a
remotely
journalism
close.
degree?
I do. Yes.
Oh, we need to talk someday.
No wonder you
off
fuckers get
air.
along.
We need to really talk someday off air, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I was a sports writer through college, and yeah,
Okay.
actually, like all right, here's the humble brag. If you go back to the Schweberger episode, Schweberger talked about what a great writer I was. So I still
anytime
owe him.
somebody says something nice about somebody, you got to be like, that guy, he deserved it. Yeah.
He probably did.
I still owe Schwebby $20 for that.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
No.
He might be watching.
But my kind of life story, so to speak, in terms of that is journalism degree, wanted to work in journalism, and moved back home after college to pursue journalism jobs while I was living with my parents at 22 years old. And obviously my parents were just like, hey, if you're going to live here, you got to work, right? You can't just sit around and wait for a journalism job and go play disc golf. So I was just like, okay, well, what's the one job that I'm guaranteed to have weekends to play tournaments? Banking. Banks are never open on the weekends, right? So I got a job as a teller at a local bank, and the journalism gig never really came. I mean, I had some offers, but it was like, do I really want to make $22,000 at a weekly paper and covering, middle school track? Like,
Those kids can run, Robert. Those kids can run.
You ever get
Coincidentally,
robbed at the bank?
no, and that's actually
Sorry.
no. I'm the king of sidetracks. I have undiagnosed ADHD, as I like to say. Yeah, I turned to the side because I have my camera. I'm trying to see what Danny said. Okay.
Oh, English major here, liberal arts fan.
Yeah. No, actually, my two truths and a lie that I always do whenever I do presentations in my old career was I've won a national championship in disc golf, which is true. I wear glasses because a balloon burst in my eye and destroyed my left eye, which is true. And my lie is I started in banking and got out of it because of a robbery. I started in banking, but I was never robbed.
Okay, well, that's nice. Good to hear.
Yes.
You are a crazy individual, Bob.
Yeah, you've got a lot.
Jesus.
You've got a lot there, Bob Leonard. You got a lot.
Yeah.
So we were getting to how did your background and now you're in logistics and operations?
Yes. So started working in banking so I could play disc golf on the weekends, right? I'm like, if I can't work in journalism, I might as well be able to enjoy something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, get it. Yeah, we'll all take a little. Yeah.
That's a Pepsi and bourbon holding the bourbon.
I think you made that joke last time you were on the show too.
Probably
You so did. I was.
My wife is like, you have 9 stories, and I just keep hearing the same 9 over and over and over. Oh, we got a hockey alert. 3-0 Canes. Let's go.
Okay.
If you hadn't posted that, we wouldn't even be talking about it. And then just kind of naturally, and I just kind of naturally worked myself up. Got promoted like 6 or 7 times at the bank, and was there for 7.5 years. I thought I'd be there a week. And then I got an opportunity to work in student financial aid, and that's really where I spent the last part of my career. My last role, I worked myself up through a couple of colleges. My last role, I was the director of financial aid at a community college. So I was completely in charge of all the legalities and all that fun stuff around FAFSA and financial aid. And I was, if you're friends with me on Facebook, I never really talked about what I did because my job was not only public as a public state employee, but it was very political, right? Congress affects all that. Every election I had to pay attention to and understand what this candidate's platforms were and what that's going to look like for our school in a couple of years. There's a lot of logistics, and this isn't, and I loved it. I really did. But I didn't ever really talk about it publicly because of those things. Long story short, the opportunity came when when an opening opened up on this team, and was just like, yeah, let's see what happens, and went through the process, and the timing just felt right. And I've always wanted to work in disc golf. I tell this story when I graduated college, before moving home and working in the bank, I emailed Harold Duvall at Innova, and I emailed Brian Graham, who was the executive director of the PDGA at the time. And I basically was just like, hey, you need me to clean toilets? I'll clean toilets. Like, I want to work in disc golf. And, and if there's anybody out there who wants that, everybody wants to work in disc golf, right? It took me 17 years of volunteering and doing side stuff and things like this to get to this point, So I say that both as a motivational thing of like, if you work hard and you put your head down and you do things right, like stuff will happen for you. But on the other hand, it's a hard industry to work in, I mean, something as simple as the PDGA just hired this incredible graphic designer, Caitlin Sapone, I might be mispronouncing her name. And like anybody with any graphic design who plays disc golf, like, oh, this is perfect. I would be great at this, right? The disc golf community has an incredible talent pool with things like this, and that's my one message, even to my friends who are just like, oh my gosh, I'm so jealous of you, and I'm like, 17 years of volunteering, brother. Like, it's this isn't like going to the gas station and just winning the lottery, and recognizing that sounds not very humble, but I worked my way for this opportunity.
How often?
Yeah, sounds kind of like a jerk thing to say, man.
Nah,
no, I'm just kidding.
How many times a week do you still get like somebody from the disciplinary side going, hey Robert, I'm sorry to bug you, man, but I got a question.
Well, the new chair is Mark Stevens, the Michigan State coordinator. He was on my committee for years. He's and I've been transitioning him and training him into that role. It's still something I care deeply about. I still think it's a very critical part of the PDGA. I mean, obviously, I'm not on the committee. Employees can serve on committees, but not chair them, sure. And employees cannot serve on the discipline committee. So I kind of had to remove myself from that effect of that. But I'm still there to help Mark out as he continues through, and he still texts me like questions and things like that. So part of this is also helping him through that.
What was your biggest what would you say is your biggest challenge coming into the new role? And what would you say was the strength that you brought to the role that you knew what about you makes you great for the job, and what about you makes the job hard?
I will say what I brought to the role is it's hard to say this and not sound bragging, right?
No, we're asking you to brag. We're asking you to brag. This full disclosure.
There are not many people that have the combination of tournament director experience of multiple majors. Mm-hmm. I've competed in over 300 tournaments. I've won 4 open sanctioned events, including 2 B tiers.
Nice.
And I've been to a lot of administrative stuff behind the scenes with the PDGA, both the discipline committee, but I've also been a marshal at World Championships since 2011.
Wow.
So it's my pitch, so to speak, as I went through this process was like, it's one thing to advise a tournament director on an issue. It's another thing to say, kind of been there, done that. Let me tell you what I did. Let me tell you what I did, what did not work. The biggest piece of advice I give to anybody who's wanting to go down this major tournament director path or anything like that is you've got to have ideas, but you've also cannot have an ego, right? I'll give you a perfect story. I had this in my mind. I still think it's a great idea. So maybe you do have to have a little bit of an ego.
Sure.
We've got 36 holes at Augusta, at the Appling, at the IDGC that are not being played. And I'm like, well, why don't we make warm-up loops for the players, right? Hey, if you go play this hole and then this hole and then this hole and then this hole, you're going to get a 4-hole loop. And then hey, this will take you 20 minutes, right? Just all these loops. And on one of our walkthroughs, I was going through all these ideas, and I went to Ulibarri and said this. And I said, how many people do you think will do it? He's like, rounding up, probably 0.
Typical Uli humor that everyone's like, is he joking? Yeah.
Yes, but like that was something I had spent hours and hours and hours and hours thinking about and trying to. I don't want to say solve. That facility is not, if you've been there, like there's not really, it's not a good tea time facility. Like we have figured that out, I promise, for anybody who is going to be playing. Like we have a warm up area figured out, I promise. But like when you first get there, that's like my first question is, how in the world do you do tea times here? Because and that was my answer, right? And I was trying to be creative. I was trying to solve a problem.
Yeah,
and it takes that, not only that lack of ego to ask that question, right? But then to hear the answer you don't want to hear, that you're basically like, nope, you're wrong, right?
Yeah.
And then to amend, right? My go-to line is, I'm not afraid to ask the and I'm even less afraid of the answer.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You've got some public speaking in your background, do you? No, maybe?
I did receive an A in public speaking in college, so yes, okay.
I do. You had your 2 truths and a lie, and then you hit me with that. I'm like, oh, this guy's.
I also got an A in public speaking in college.
I don't believe that for one bit. Is that one of your 2? Is that your lie and your 2 truths?
No. They love me.
No, my role as a director of a community college, I had a lot of presentations and public speaking, to parents about financial aid and prospective students. And I can't tell how many classrooms I've walked in, senior seminar classes and done presentations about financial, so you kind of get used to that kind of stuff.
For sure.
Yeah, I would say the hardest, I think you asked about like the hardest part of my job.
Yeah. What was the biggest challenge you've had so far?
It was really hard, and it still is kind of hard. Like, it's still blowing me away. Like, I feel like I'm in the, once again, trying not to sound cocky, in the top 5% of like disc golf knowledge on the planet.
Okay.
And I walked into this, and it was just like, oh my God, look at all this stuff I don't know.
Okay.
And it just information overload.
And all this clandestine information that's never going to be publicized. All these kind of backside of the underside of disc golf is a different thing than the upside of disc golf, right?
Yes. And it's also been very hard. A lot of my coworkers are friends, people I've known a very, very long time. And that transition of that relationship, we're still friends, but that can be a tricky sometimes. And I have to remind myself, honestly, every single day, I'm a PDGA employee, right? And I have to be very careful. Like I played an event last weekend, and it was just like little things, like what do I wear? Yeah,
am I supposed to wear? Like, can I wear my, t-shirt?
I had no idea, no more. Jeez.
That's the old comment. I just pulled it back up. I'm just saying.
For the record, Danny is not my boss.
For the record, huh?
Danny's a great guy, and I tell you what.
Yeah, it seems okay.
There are so many people, and this is I'm gonna cover the PDGA logo here, right? Danny's really listening, right? This is Robert Leonard talking, not operations logistic manager. You guys would not believe the amount of work the PDGA staff has done behind the scenes for the Champions Cup. I mean, hours and hours and hours and hours. Danny has been absolutely incredible. His team, absolutely incredible. The WR Jackson is going to look. I saw it last time I was there was in October, and I was just like, oh my gosh! And they're laughing. They're like, you should see it now. And that's a credit to Nate Michaela, the ITGC superintendent, and his staff. Patrick Graziani, he texted me this morning. He's like, you ready for our morning chat? LOL. Every single day. Yeah. Everybody's just pouring their heart into this, and I'm just the one that just gets to get that title of tournament director. And but it has just been an absolute pleasure working with all the PDGA staff who's just poured their heart into this.
That's awesome. And it's almost like you're reading the script, because my next question was going to be, now that the PDGA has a little more time in their hands, they don't have to worry about the national tour quite as much. There's a little less going on. What are you seeing change at the PDGA, and what are they focusing on? Have you seen, and you've been around the PDGA for a long time, with the DGPT taking over some of those responsibilities? What's happening? What's happening in Appling? What's happening with the PDGA in general?
Yeah. So I would say it's somewhat inaccurate to say that we're not involved in national tour, right?
Right. They've been able to, yeah.
It's a marriage of Disc Golf Pro Tour and National Tour, right? But somebody from our team is at every Elite Series event. There will be a few, like nobody is going to Idlewild, and that is just because Am Worlds is the same time, right? So majors are our precedent regardless of whether there's Sinclair. Sean Sinclair is no longer with.
He's gone. Sean gone.
Yeah. So, so for example, Jeff Chaqua he's a tournament director in Vegas. He was obviously there. Patrick Graziani was at Vegas. Mm-hmm. Waco, Jeff and Patrick were there. Texas States last week, Jeff was there. Myself and Jeff will be at Dynamic Disc Open in Emporia. So we're there, we are supporting the tournament directors.
Let me rephrase real quick, because I think maybe I asked this wrong. I meant more in an operational 30,000-foot view with a little more time and a little more resources available. What are you seeing happen in that regard? Are there more time and resources available?
I understand what you're saying now. But it kind of has, and this isn't what you said, Adam. This isn't what I'm saying. But there's this attitude online, and this is not what you said at all. That the Disc Golf Pro Tour is taking over the PD. That is not. It is a.
I mean, their logo is the same color as the logo of the TV network, so that's why everyone thinks this, right? Yeah.
That's correct. So in the past, the way the bid process for majors has worked is you bid on the majors, and then the team of PDGA employees reviews those and then makes a recommendation to the board of directors. And then obviously if it's the U.S. Women's or something, it will go through the Women's Committee. If it's U.S. Masters, it'll go through the Senior Committee. Things like that are more specific to those divisions. And then we would make those assignments, and then we would go out in the fall, about 8, 9, 10 months before the event, and do site views. Mm-hmm. That was Sean Sinclair's kind of bread and butter. And I'm not going to say which events, but sometimes things on paper are different than when you get there. You're like, wait a minute, this is supposed to be a 10,000-foot course.
I played that tournament. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, then it's like, oh, well, we haven't gotten those 6 holes put in yet. Well, when are you going to put in? There was a lot of, and you'd already awarded the major, right? So with having more resources, both on staff, Maceley and staff, is that we're going to start reviewing site visits prior to awarding bids.
Ooh.
Right? So that is, I don't know when that is going to start. I know that's a big picture item that Jeff is working on. But that's major, right? Because
that should have been done.
Oh, there's no disagreements about what should have done, but it was just logistically impossible. But at the time it was just Sean and Mike Downs doing all this, and they were both on the road 130, 140 days a year already. So it's a big change that I don't think people, and I'm glad that you recognize the impact of that, because that's a big change.
Yeah. Well, I was pumped to hear that the DGPT was going to be stepping up in a different way, because I was like, the PDGA has a lot of people, a lot of potential, a lot of structure, and there are things that maybe the PDGA would like to do that they'll now have time to do.
If we had the infinite talent pool and infinite cash pool 10 years ago,
right,
this would have happened 10 years ago, right?
Is it infinite? Is it functionally infinite at this point? No. Okay.
We are
cash pool. No talent. Yes.
We are. Yes, talent. Yes, we are finally getting there. But we're a 501c4, right? It's we're not trying to make money, right?
You can't make money. Yes.
Well, we can, right? As a 501c4, right? That means that you're able to use profits, and you're admitting that you make profits, but that you are turning them around and using them in the way that you did it. And the key between C3 and C4 is C3 is more of like your American Diabetes Association, whereas this C4 is more of a member-driven, where there's member association dues and things like that. So, but you were getting off subject. But,
the C3 is basically everything that comes in has to go out, but make sure that your director gets paid fat. You know, that's sort of thing.
Yeah. So we are 501c4.
No directors get paid fat. Yeah.
Another one of those things I did not know until I was an employee. I was like, I know we're not for profit, but no, 501c4. That's a really, really big change. I think it's real. Like and we're having weekly meetings. Like our team gets together every Tuesday, and we talk about, like this week was like, like part of my job is to watch coverage, and I know that sounds like the greatest job in the world, right? But part of my role was to keep an eye on these tour events that I'm not at, because every Tuesday, hey, we had this rule situation, we had this situation pop up, let's talk about this. And
let's talk about the Macbeth structure at Texas State. All right, no, we're not going to do that.
Specifically told Austin, I told you.
Anyway, all right, fun questions time.
Fun questions time. But yeah, so I'm sorry. Let's put a pin in this real quick. The PDGA is now able to focus on some things they would like to have focused on before.
Yeah, and it's just, and I'm going to say that prior to, and this is not a shot at our previous staff, right? This was just simply a manpower issue, a little reactive at times, and we're making that shift toward being proactive every day.
Well, it sounds like the Sean Sinclair going out after the bids are through to now having people go out before the bids are through. And that's a perfect example of this.
And that is reactive out of necessity, not out of choice, right? Very large difference, right?
And now you have the choice to be proactive.
Correct.
Beautiful.
And the 2023 bids, now we have not done that for the 2023 majors, but Rockstar places, Rockstar tournament directors, U.S. Women's has happened in 30 minutes away from my house.
Nice.
And with Chuckster as the TD, so like we're not worried about Chuckster. It's at a venue that I've hosted a major at. So
I will tell you, if Chuckster brings the scoreboards to the bar for the players meeting, you need a babysitter for the scoreboards. Cody and I had to bring them back to a Doc Holliday shootout in Griffin one time because old Chuckster left them at the bar. I'm just putting it out.
And Pro Worlds is going to be ran by Jeff Spring in Vermont at a proven facility. That's when I say we're not worried about it, of course we're going to be involved in helping, right? But that's going to be a Rockstar event. And then you got Nate Heidel running AM and Junior Worlds in Peoria. Like what?
Everything's on cruise control. Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Cool.
Champions Cups in Michigan where they do D-Glow USAMs. Like it's going to be great.
Chase Jernigan says if you start yelling, an airplane's flying over.
It's obviously funny because I'm laughing.
You got it.
It's funny because
Cody, here's a fun fact. Since you live in our area now, if you are flying into Raleigh-Durham, about 8 seconds before you land, if you're on the right side of the plane, you can see a basket in my yard. I live in the flight path of RDU, the landing path.
Is it orange?
No. Pink. I have a pink basket and a white basket. Why would it be orange? I don't understand.
Well, I've seen 2 orange baskets flying into RDU, so.
Oh, okay. But
my
right side of the plane.
Got 2 orange ones down the street.
I had the Bushnell out and everything.
Nice product placement. Yeah, but no, right side of the plane. But if you've ever bought a house in a landing path, oh my gosh! Like I had to sign a waiver from the airport that like if something fell off a plane and damaged my property, I couldn't sue the airline. I couldn't sue the RDU. I had to sign like noise damage. Like I can't sue for like noise pollution. Like I'm just like like all legal things. Like that means it happened at one point, right? That means something fell off a plane and landed on somebody's house one time in a flight path.
Oh, that's good.
Good luck to you, sir.
When does the PDGA start running an event at the IDGC, a big event at the IDGC every year?
That's not a question.
I got a Danny Voss text. Hold on.
Oh no.
Okay.
Are we in trouble? Are we in trouble now? Okay, good.
No, he's joking around. Okay.
got me nervous.
Do we have an IDGC event on the tour coming up every year, or?
It goes back to what I was kind of saying, right? The PDGA does we don't want our staff running events there, right? So
you got stuff to do.
You got to understand that the fact
But
that
it
I
is
am
the
now
PDGA's of
Yeah, just hide that course from
PDGA's,
everybody.
right?
Cool.
And owned by the PDGA.
Yeah, cool.
yeah. There's so
Well, it's rented out by the PDGA, really.
Correct.
Through Wildwood
And
Park.
let's be very clear. Like, it is a coincidence that I am now a PDGA employee and running this event, right? That is it is complete coincidence. But one of the main purposes of the IDGC in Winthrop Park is education. Education of the sport, education of parks and rec management.
Winthrop,
like,
Wildwood?
Yes, Wildwood Park. That's one of the main goals of the International Disc Golf Center there is educational. And if you're having your staff members that are there full time, like not doing that, then that's not what they're intended to do. So I don't want to say there won't be big events like this at the IDGC in the future. I guarantee you that if the Augusta Disc Golf Club or a club in that area wanted to put in a bid and host it there, the PDGA, I'm not going to say the PDGA would say yes or no, but they would be willing to sit at the table and have that conversation.
Has Henry totally off just tangent?
All right.
Has Henry Hamilton ever done an event at IDGC?
Oh yeah, he has.
So Henry was actually a key member of our staff, our volunteer coordinator.
A member of the staff.
Well, unfortunately, he had a very serious personal situation pop up and had to back out a few weeks ago. We wish Henry the best. He's a great guy. Oh my gosh, what an amazing guy! Hard worker. He's done so much for this event. Yeah, it's not my place to talk about what's going on, obviously. Yeah. But if somebody sees that he was involved and now he's not, it truly was a personal situation. Yeah. And
prayers up for Henry because he's our boy. We love our guy.
It is a family member of him, not of his, not him. But we're definitely praying and hoping the best for that person. And what they're
Henry's the guy. So any good vibes?
I know what this is.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, fun
I
questions.
stay at Henry's house every time.
Fun questions, Robert. Danny, you should tune out now.
This has always been this whole thing. I thought we've already done the fun questions.
No, and the fact that we have to put a disclaimer here now should tell Danny Boss to tune out.
Are we getting ready to talk about Mandos?
Yep.
God, dude.
So, first question of the night.
Who would play you in a movie?
Nah, there we go.
Danny DeVito.
No, what?
That's fucked up, bro.
Oh, Austin. Austin's leaving the chat.
Jason Biggs.
Oh, that's a good one.
I like it.
That is good.
I could also go with like Seth Rogen a little bit from Acceptance.
I was going to say Jason Sudeikis is what I was going to say.
Jason Biggs has always been the one that, like, if somebody says I look like a celebrity, it's Jason Biggs. And
I think if we were going a full lifetime, you would eventually look like DeVito.
And thank you. And when people say that I look like Jason Biggs, I'm wondering if they've had a similar eye injury that I had.
Got him. Okay. Sorry, there's one
from American
Pie. The guy, the lead from American Pie. Yeah.
Okay.
Who's gonna play Danny Voss in a movie? Do you want to answer that, or should I answer that?
Danny Voss is one of many. Danny is one of many people that I have never personally met, in person. I've never met him in person. Talked to him every day, but I've never physically met him. So I guess the pictures I'm seeing are him. I don't know.
I've met him. I met him once in Florida.
Maybe one day I will go to Orlando. Vamos Orlando. Let's go down there. And
it was really nice having you on there, Mr. Robert. Really nice. I'm sure that was that text Danny sent you was say something about Orlando City Soccer.
Okay, man.
No comment. My first official no comment of the night.
Well, I was going to say, it was very funny. I literally on my phone a minute ago was trying to find the Eastern Conference table for MLS because I thought Atlanta United was above you, Orlando, and I was going to.
Yeah, no, we're not. So the man.
You know what the difference between soccer and hockey is? One's fun and one's soccer. Mandos.
Well, it was really good to see you there, but no, I'm just kidding. Okay, well, in that case, let's hit with it, guys.
Hockey and soccer. Never mind.
Tyler Glass is going to ask a Mando question. We got a couple first.
Tyler's a good guy. I like Tyler.
If I make the Mando,
I don't make the Mando on a roller.
You said on Twitter when I broached this subject, that you have a powerful response to the Mando rule controversy, and I'd love to hear it.
Let me get. So according to no, I'm just kidding. It's not.
You signed the description.
So first and foremost, I do not view this update as a change.
It's a clarification.
It is a clarification of something that got out of hand. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We have forever been guilty as everybody, right? Raising my hand, right? We have thought too much about Mandos as you must go this way, right? Think about it when you play a tournament. Mando right, must pass right, must go right. Like, this is nomenclature that you've heard, right? When in reality, what a Mando is saying is don't go that way, right?
It's okay.
There is a difference, a subtle difference between go this way and don't go that way.
As somebody who designs courses, I feel like Mando's
in a weird way.
So I don't like Mandos. I think there's, I
like them for safety. I don't like them for.
I don't like them for safety. They don't solve safety problems.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Because
you can still miss the Mando and chuck it into a playground.
A Mando for safety purposes does not solve apathy of the rule.
Mm-hmm.
It does not solve ignorance of the rule.
Mm-hmm.
And it does not solve physical error.
Okay.
Like Tyler Glass just posted right there. That's physical error.
All right. Tyler Glass says the double Mando hole. If you hit the basket and then roll back around the trees and in the restricted space,
Forest Hills,
the Mando.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact that you hit the basket is irrelevant. I mean, so think about it this way, right?
Boo!
Think about this. Think about the shift, right? Think about the shift, right? when he's saying you hit the basket and roll back, right? It's because he's thinking about it as you had to go this way. You had to go between the trees. Mando is saying don't go outside of these trees, right? So when you hit something and roll back through the line, you disobeyed the rule. The rule says don't go right of this tree.
Fuck that. I'm sorry. Fuck
it's
that.
Not, people who've been playing disc golf a long time do have.
I'd rather roll into a creek. Right.
So, and out of bounds is don't land here. We don't care how you fly. We don't care how you get here. Don't land here. A Mando is we don't care where you land. Don't go through here.
Yeah.
Right.
No fly zone.
Correct. So this rule, like
no fly zone, not a no roll zone.
This whole hit the basket and roll back on the wrong side, or hit something and roll back. I've played over 1,000 PDGA rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I have marshaled 7 or 8 major championships. I've volunteered at times 10 of that. I've never seen it happen.
Well, it happened 2 weeks ago, apparently.
I heard this
happens quite frequently at Lula, Georgia.
Yeah, it's
practice.
Yeah,
so
Lula, it does happen a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I support the change. I think it clarifies a lot, because let's do the same scenario where you pass to the correct side of the Mando and then come back on either side of the Mando. Doesn't matter, incorrect or correct.
Like a roller or something.
Sure.
Okay.
Or maybe it's an uphill hole when it hits and rolls down, right? Or it's unlikely.
That's the situation at Lula, yeah.
Yeah, it's unlikely that it's going to be an air shot without some roll that this happens, right? Let's say that Mando, and I don't like safety Mandos, I clarified that, right? Yeah. Is pointing you, like, let's say there's a playground, right? If you roll past that Mando and then come back behind it, should you be able to throw through the playground now?
Oh, well, I never even thought about it.
Well, I mean, in theory, if you're going to have a Mando on the course and you made the mandatory, you should be able to throw that playground.
There should have been a better Mando.
Why is there not why is the Mando not prior to that?
That's a non-effective Mando at that point.
Right. Well, first and foremost, the problem is, why did you design a hole next to a playground? Right?
Correct.
Let's
Correct. Let's cut to the chase. Yeah.
But my point is that if you just had that playground as out of bounds, remember, out of bounds says don't land here. It doesn't say don't go through here. Right.
You could have
no fly
But I'm sure
zone.
the playground is also out of bounds in this scenario.
Right. So then,
More than likely.
if for some reason you have a playground next to a hole and don't redesign your course.
We'll just call it a parking lot instead of a playground because I'd feel much better about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like there should be a Mando and out of bounds, right?
Correct.
Because you should not be able to, but if you don't have, so I think this, very, very, very often courses were getting away with one or the other, right? I don't want to, I'm not calling out USCDC, but hole 15 for years had double lines of OB, right?
Right.
And then they're like, wait a minute, let's just make this a double Mando, and then we don't have to string 900 feet of rope. And the hole's going to play exactly the same.
Yeah.
15.
Yeah.
Right? And in theory, it should be both.
It's triple Mando.
Right?
And only because it's mostly pros does it not need to be both.
Well, it doesn't, right? But think about it that way, right? Is for forever. Like I said, hey, I'm guilty person number one here, right? I remember I ran a tournament actually at Forest Hills in 2012 that we're talking about as an A tier. And there was this one hole with, oh my God, I'm going to have to do all this OB. Nope, just going to put a Mando up there. Took care of it, right?
Sure.
But in theory, I should have done both.
You're just wiping your hands. You're like, I got it.
So every rule has unintended consequences and unintended bad results, right? Does it suck if you go correctly through two Mandos and hit a tree and roll and go out of and miss it? Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
But so does cut throughs, right? So does when I hit the basket and it rolls 100 feet, right? So does when
wind, man. So does wind.
Right. I mean, it's there's no way you can ever eliminate luck at all. You're never going to get rid of it.
All right. Good.
Yeah, I mean, we're basically just clarifying, like, all PDGA was doing was just clarifying what was already the rule, and that is an OB line, it goes infinite, and which is exactly the Mando, and like 90 degrees off the Mando is an OB line. In theory, that should never be crossed.
Thanks for explaining the rule again. Appreciate it.
And another thing, right, that that has always been available, but people didn't know about, was that it doesn't have to be 90 degrees off the Mando, right? So if you want to take that Mando and make it 20 degrees,
just run a string or paint a line, do something.
Yeah,
you got to have an OB with it.
But once again, we're not talking about a change. We're talking about a clarification.
It was just a clarification at the end of the day.
It was, and it feels like a change because there was never a concrete answer of what happens if I pass correctly and then come back on the wrong side. Do I have to remake it, or do I have to, or have I already made it? Right?
How about this? How many times do you correct that noob you see at the course walking through a 15-foot putt?
You broke up. I'm sorry.
What? No, Austin. We're not talking.
Different question.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I think that
I'm just saying, like, you don't always imply the rules when you're just casually playing, or
casually playing. Sure.
Where are we going with this?
The
next question will sorry.
Apparently, we're going to taking strokes in casual rounds. Like, I've
never
missed a 20-footer casually.
Next question.
Ain't no such thing as a casual round, man.
I'm hitting the gavel.
I'm joking.
I'm hitting the gavel.
Anyway, hitting the gavel. Good call, Cody. We're gonna buy you a gavel on Amazon, for sure. Here's my question to you. It's a two-part question. Who is going to place higher at Champions? Well, I guess, did Stokely make it in the Champions Cup?
He was very low on the wait list, and unfortunately decided to withdraw today. I don't know if that's because he realized he probably wasn't going to get in and just wanted to make sure he got his money back, or he truly can't come. I don't know.
True. Okay, so my second part of the question was, is W.R. Jackson going to make Brody Smith cry?
I think so.
You think he's pretty good? You think he's good? You think he's got it?
He's a.
Have you seen him throw in person?
I've never met him. Never talked to him.
Dude, hugs.
Name 5 people who started playing 3 years ago and are 10, 20.
Jackie Chan.
Yeah, good question. Good point.
I mean, that's my point, right? You know,
I know.
Yeah, he's got a frisbee background, but who cares, right? I mean,
he just wants to hate.
That doesn't count. You can't give me an ultimate frisbee and make me do anything with it.
I understand that he's a polarizing figure, but that doesn't mean that he's not an incredibly talented player.
I don't know if you saw he's bogey on Twitter now because he lost a bet, I think, or something like that. He's got a cash before he can change his name back or something like that.
I don't know. I'm not as tuned in with social media as you might expect. I don't know what you're talking about.
You always respond to my stuff. I love it. Glad to know. Glad to know I'm important to you.
So
you're one of the few 111 Twitter followers, so that's why.
Hey, nice.
But as my Twitter bio says, like, you know, I play disc golf. I'm the Champions Cup director, blah blah blah. But I just tweet about hockey.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, we should have a fun question without a disciplinary.
You're fine. If I can't answer, if you ask, it's
journalism.
Journalism 101, right? Adam can back me up on this, right?
Yes.
It's not your responsibility as the interviewer to ask to give a question the person can't answer. It's the person to say I can't answer that.
For sure.
Could or would the disciplinary committee ever get involved for people not calling Nico on a putting violation on his card?
The rules say.
I think we can also say like Gannon Burr, and I think there's a couple others out there.
The rules say you have to call out, you know, people as you see it. So would that ever happen?
Where does the cycle end? Yeah.
The answer is unlikely, but possibly.
Sure.
When does a PDGA official step in and call the rules?
Well,
when is that going to happen?
I'll address that. Let's back up just a second here. So, first and foremost, the charge of the discipline committee is to handle events, is to handle issues that are not able to be handled during the rules of play, and to handle and to address egregious violations of rules of play. Right. So, example 2, right? If you walk up and attack and punch somebody, that is an egregious violation of the rules of play, right? That rises to discipline issues beyond your obvious DQ, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody taking more than 30 seconds is in the rules of play. And then secondly, so as to Cody alluded to, you know, players are required to police each other and are required to make calls and are required to watch. And, you know, technically, if somebody is not policing that or not watching that, right, then they technically could be called for a courtesy violation according to the rules, right? Now,
there is a fail-safe.
If somebody actually supplied a discipline request because Nico was taking more than 30 seconds, or that because, you know, Sam was playing with Nico and didn't call him on it, right?
Yeah. The
committee would review it, and the committee has the right to basically say whether we do or do not. I would be surprised if anything came out of that because in my experience, that's, well, why didn't you handle this in the rule of play, Sam? You know, or if you're the person mad at Sam, why did you not go over and issue Sam a courtesy warning?
Could you cover up the logo and tell us why you think he doesn't get called? Or no, you want to touch that one?
Previous to 2022, very, very important. The rule was very, ambiguous. I freely admit this. I took advantage of that rule all the time, and I am.
If you reset, the time starts over, right? Basically.
Yes. If you've ever seen me play, I'm a very, very fast player. I don't mess around. I mean, I'm 5 or 6 seconds on the tee, maybe 3 seconds to putt.
That's what she said.
But I'm also a terrible wind player. So if there's any wind, I'm slower than you've ever seen. And I would just be like, hey, guys, the wind is distracting me. Right?
I'm going to courtesy on you all day. Kids.
Look at this wind. Oh, man, my knee hurts. Hold on a second. Let me rub this.
You're restricting me from throwing. I'll go ahead and throw my shot then.
Before 2022, I say this over and over and over and over and over, right? Knowing the rules benefits you a lot more than you think.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You know, and perfect example, Cody, I know I saw you out at Forest Hills a couple weeks ago. That tournament was windy as hell.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I can't really use mine. The wind's distracting me anymore, right? But the big, so I truly don't know how anybody before 2022 was ever called a time violation that was like not arguable.
Right.
Right. Because it just said you had to be distracted. Doesn't.
So
I'm distracted. I mean, I've often said like it's so common. It's so common, so perfect. I'm distracted by it.
I have a story I probably shouldn't share, but I might as well share it. So
go ahead, Lloyd.
Michael Sullivan told me a story one time.
Oh, you're naming names and telling the story? Jeez.
Yeah.
Do you mean Prodigy Michael Sullivan or PDGA employee Michael Sullivan?
We don't know. We're gonna leave it out there.
Prodigy Michael Sullivan.
Oh,
Okay.
And he
Canadian
said,
Michael Sullivan.
He said, if anybody ever talks about the wind after they throw, you should give them a courtesy violation because it's affecting the way you throw. And I was like, damn, Michael, that seems rough. And he's like, well,
then I probably am overdue 384 million courtesy violations. But now that we're in 2022, there's a very, very subtle change that it has to be in the plane area, right? So people walking 100 feet behind you and you're putting, that is not in the plane area.
it's basically for the Jomez camera crews who are sprinting, basically at this point.
So, so to answer your question, Adam, about excuse me, not Adam. It was
Cody, I think.
It was no. It was
Austin.
Austin, yeah.
It was Dan. Dan asked.
No, it was. I knew it was Austin. I just couldn't think which one of y'all asked it.
I'm apologizing. Yeah.
So first and foremost, I do not support officials with cards. So the rules are very clear. Players are required to police themselves.
Yep.
Right? Whether you agree or disagree with that, that's the rule. Right? Whether you agree or disagree with the Mando rule, it's the rule. Right? But let's think about it from a logistical standpoint. Right? I'm not using that word because it's in my title. Right? But
no,
it's
Ooh.
It's the correct word.
For a fairness standpoint, why is it fair that one car doesn't have to make calls and the other 20 do? Not fair, right? So the only way you could fairly do this would be you'd have to have an official either with every single group, or the more logical example of that would be an official on every single hole. Or if you condense that down, maybe official in a 4 or 5 hole area, right? Let's just use this as simple as possible, right?
Yep.
For math reasons, we're going to say
That doesn't sound hard to do.
a 6. Okay, I'm getting there. A 6 hole bubble, right? You need 3 officials, right? So first and foremost, do you want this person to be a legit tournament director that knows the rules, or you just want it to be like a volunteer who's like, yeah, this seems cool? Obviously the former, right?
Yeah.
Because the areas you're hosting these tournaments in have tons of tournament directors in it.
But are they
available that weekend?
Are they available, right? And like, I'm not doing that for free.
Yeah, how are you going to compensate them? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're making all this money off the AmScan players packs.
Right.
Why are they going to just come
You
out?
don't run a tournament.
I'm not doing that for free, right? So now you have to compensate me for my time, right? If I'm driving my own vehicle, now you got to pay me 59 cents a mile.
No, you just
Right?
$10.99 them
$5
and
a
then
mile.
claim the shit on their tax.
Anyway.
Right. But it's you got to do that, right?
Yep.
I'm not sleeping on somebody's couch if I'm working at an event. So now you got to put me up in a hotel.
But they live in the area.
Okay, but you're assuming that every area has these people that are willing and credentialed to do that.
And if you can't make the standard occur
Then
at
you
one
shouldn't be
location,
doing
but
it
you
in
can
that
at
area
another,
because
that's
there's not
worse.
enough disc golf in that area to be interested in hosting a tournament in the fucking to begin with.
But Cody, I think what you're forgetting, and excuse me for jumping in on this, I think it's the consistency of the play or of the competitional standard will vary so much that it will affect who signs up for what tournaments.
Yeah, if you do an event in Peoria every year, you're not going to have
a problem. But as soon as you get a new city on pool,
Dallas or Atlanta.
So Cody, to your example, let's say I'm going to pick on
Appling,
Raleigh.
Georgia has 0 tournament directors within.
Don't worry about it. We're getting there.
I'll pick on Raleigh because I live here, and we can pull it off because we've got incredible tournament directors in our area, right? But let's say it was just me, right? So, and then let's say that all of a sudden I'm trying to run a tournament and I got $1 million sponsor. Are you telling me that the PDGA, the Disc Golf Pro Tour, are going to say, sorry, you don't have 3 tournament directors that are good?
Oh, and then just force a tournament with no volunteers or nothing?
Right. So, but regardless, right? So so now you've got to bring in, right? So let's just say that person's salary and compensation at a very, very, very reduced level, hotel, travel, meals, all of that. Let's say that conservatively costs $2,000 for a week, right? Because not only is it 3 days, but you got to have this person get there before the tournament starts. So now they're flying in 2 days before the tournament to be able to review the course a day before, right? Who wants to leave Sunday night after doing all of this all week long? You're exhausted. It's 9 o'clock at night. So now you're staying for 6 nights. So now you're talking $2,000 roughly.
And you're recompensating them for their lost wages at their regular job.
Right. So now for 3 officials, and we said that's to cover 6 holes.
Yeah.
It's $6,000. And we're also assuming that we're only playing 1 course.
So it's better for someone to call someone on an infraction than for this to keep happening.
That's why.
I got in a Twitter discussion with Drew Gibson about this one time, and I was just like, hey, to kind of be honest, if you want us to take $6,000 to $12,000 out of your purse every week, we can do that, right? If y'all don't want to make your call, I can take $6,000 out of the Champions Cup budget and hire officials to do this, right? And that means that they're still going to be in 5 holes. They're still going to have 5 holes they're not at all times.
I mean, that means you still have to make the call, and then an official comes over and makes the call with you.
So that means that if we had one on every single hole, which we said was perfect, that is a $36,000 expense.
But the PD,
assuming that the course,
they don't have one.
No. But that's $36,000
to do it
out
correct.
of the tournament purse, right? A lot of tournaments, if you ever go back and look at some of these Elite Series events, they have like $30,000 to $40,000 added cash.
That's a third of the Champions Cup purse.
That's incredible to have $30,000 or $40,000 on a. That's just hats off to all these tournament directors raising that money, right? I mean, I've been doing this for Champions Cup and to raise all this money, and it's very, very hard.
Yeah.
So now we're just playing for each other's maybe it's just me. I'll just say you flip faulted. Right, it's not worth $36,000 for and So, and when I told that to Drew and kind of broke down those numbers, he was just kind of like, "Wow, I've never thought about that way." Right, and
wow, I'll shut up. Sorry.
Wait, no, and I wasn't trying to be like I'm right, you're wrong,
I get it.
Right, but I'm just
Sorry, David.
option A, option B. I had a one of my main fundraisers for the Champions Cup is ticket sales, right, and one of the I'm not going to name names, but a player texted me this week and was just like, hey, why can't I get comps and VIP passes? And I'm like, I can refund $30,000 and take that out of the purse, right? It's
right.
We're just not there yet.
So next year we can get some media passes.
No,
media. No, I don't have anything to do with that.
We got media badges for this week, right?
No. Yeah. I'm taking these guys off the chat. I got one more question for you. No, I'm just kidding. I think the moral of the story is that basically to grow the sport, we all have to be adults and be like, hey, bro, I'm sorry. We're friends and all, but quit it.
To summarize it, it's not that we can do it. It's should we? And when you start thinking about all of the money that it would take, right? Mm-hmm. Like even if you don't pay those people, right? Who that is legit, right? Is going to spend $1,500 to go do this?
Right.
I'm not doing that.
No,
I don't mind. I don't mind if I'm not getting paid, right? But I'm not going to lose money.
I also don't want someone who's making a decision about how much money I make in a tournament to be a volunteer. I want that person to be paid. That's a big thing for me. I'm not there yet, but I would imagine that if someone's going to say in or out for me, I want that to be
in 20 or 30 years, do I think we'll be there? Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
But today we're simply that's going to take a Coca-Cola or something doing like a $5 million tour sponsorship or something where we can logistically say, okay, Robert, we're going to pay you $50,000 plus travel expenses to travel around and do this, right?
I'm going to hop on the MARTA bus real quick and go down there and yell at them for you. You know what I mean? They're right down the street.
Well, but no, I don't know why I picked Coca-Cola, but you get it's going to take something like that where we can invest $1 million into making that happen. And if we get a $5 million sponsorship or something crazy, it's probably worth it at that point, right?
Yeah,
but it's not financially worth it right now for these players.
And I've been saying it since I started playing.
Go ahead. I just want to say this really quick.
Yeah.
It's my stance on this, in my opinion, is supporting the players.
Yes.
Was that a hockey puck in your hand?
I remember I undiagnosed ADHD. I'm at my wife's desk. My desk is downstairs, but I have an open office and my son's asleep, so I'm in a closed room, and this is like her.
That's your stress ball. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is her. But it's AirPod pouch.
Nice.
Wrap it up.
I fidget with stuff all day long.
For sure. I think the moral
kind of looked like a hockey puck at first. I was like, there's no way this dude's swinging around a puck.
I got like 20 or 30 hockey pucks into the room if you want to get one.
So and also the moral of the story is if you can't do it at every tour stop, it's not worth doing because we're moving towards standardization.
Yeah, we're just not there yet, right? And
what goes
regardless of whether you think the rule is good or bad, right? From a logistical, fiscal standpoint, it just doesn't make sense.
Right. Sure.
What goes further, a disc or a puck for you?
If there was, no walls, probably a puck on the ice, right?
Yeah. Cool.
Whatever, dude.
So,
what's the number one unwritten rule in disc golf?
Don't call footballs.
Nah.
I'm just kidding.
Not every course has a blowhole.
I think.
Safety meetings.
Yeah, safety meetings.
Okay. Gotcha. Thanks for coming on, Bob. We appreciate you.
Rule, though? Is there an unwritten rule in disc golf that you think is very important? Because we're thinking about doing a video series on the unwritten rules of the game, like no bat flips kind of thing.
I think it depends on who you talk to.
Sure.
Like one of Barry Schultz's. I've played a lot of golf with Barry Schultz because he's in North Carolina now.
Yeah.
One of Barry Schultz's really big pet peeves is he doesn't want negative thoughts about a hole until the hole is over.
Oh man, this hole! Look at this hole. That sort of thing.
Right? We're like, last time I was here, I took a 6 on this hole. I hit this tree. Or this hole is so stupid. Right? Like he really gets upset about that.
No bad vibes.
Stroke for Sullivan.
I mean, for real, like I really agree with that.
Yeah.
To me, I don't know. Like, I don't want to say, the guy is, in my opinion, the third best player of all time. I don't want to, I
third?
Think, yeah. Who would be ahead of him other than Paul and Kenny?
Kenny would be ahead of him.
Sorry.
Paul would be.
Well, Kenny and Barry are clear. Excuse me, Kenny and Paul are clearly ahead of him.
Oh, you said it yourself.
Okay. Okay.
To me, it's Kenny, Paul, big gap, Barry, big gap, Nate, Doss, and then you start getting into the Ricky anyway. But,
opinions are like assholes.
The dude's in his 50s, and he just won. He wins open all the time. It's ridiculous.
I saw a picture of him from the other weekend, and he looked younger than he did. Sorry.
I'm done here.
Oh, sorry. Let's go. I'm sorry, Robert. Cody's got one last question for you, and then we're gonna let you go.
We should wrap it up. Oh no, Austin, do you want to ask this question?
No, we got it. No, it's on me.
We already got the unwritten rule.
Oh, okay.
It's on me. My last question for you, Robert Leonard, and this is something that happened at, I think it was Am Worlds, they said this, and I've adopted it, and it seems to make sense. If the card consensus about inbounds or out of bounds cannot happen within 10 seconds, it's in bounds, isn't it?
No.
That sounds like a fucking Am
why not?
rule.
If the card consensus doesn't happen and the player gets the benefit of the doubt as an extra vote,
if anything, you've got at least 2 minutes. Start the clock.
First and foremost, there's no nothing in the rules that says that, right? There's no like you have to make a call with it, right? Benefit of the doubt, like if you would have asked me like what's the most misunderstood or most misfollowed rule, it's benefit of the doubt, right?
Okay,
right.
Benefit of the doubt rule is not we don't know,
but
right?
benefit to the player.
But benefit of the doubt is not we don't know. Benefit of the doubt is not it's so close. It's whatever. It's close. It's yours, right? Benefit of the doubt is not I don't really want to make a call because we're tied, right? Benefit of the doubt, as you alluded to, Adam, is the tie-breaking vote, right?
Right.
So in theory, if you have a in or out scenario on a card that has 3 or 5 players, the benefit of the doubt rule never applies.
But on a four pack, let's say.
Right. So what you would do is you would have to get all 4 votes, including the thrower. The thrower votes. The thrower is a member of the card, right? The rules don't say it says all members of the card. It doesn't say except the person who threw it.
Right.
Right. So every single person would have to make their opinion of in or out. And then if it's a 2-2 split, then the better ruling goes to the player. That is how benefit of the doubt rule works.
Gotcha. Thank you for the clarification. Robert Leonard, you are one of our favorite guests of all time.
Oosh.
I know. Mostly
that says a lot more about your other guests than it does me.
We had Justin Menichelli, my man. So what happened was, sorry, we got to get out of here. I will say thank you for coming on again.
Hold on, my final question. I
know. I'm going to get to that. I just want to make sure Robert gets his due diligence because we just raked him. We just raked him through the coals for like 20 minutes.
Just straight treated him like Chris Rock at the Oscars. Huh?
No, that was staged. That was staged.
I can't believe you're kicked off the podcast, Austin.
Anyway,
all right.
Cody's got one more question, but I want to make sure you knew you were appreciated before Cody hits you with it. So thank you.
Then that's the worst setup ever for this. Let's go.
Yeah, that's awful. Do you have any questions or advice for us?
Jeez. Kick this guy off.
Unless you're one of these players, and even 50% of the players in the Champions Cup, right? So like even a lot of those players, this is not their job, right? Yeah. And at some point, you might hit a point where this isn't fun, and that's when it's time to do something else, right? This is and
damn, are you telling us to quit?
No.
Most fun wins.
No. This is a game, right? And there's over 200,000 PDGA members, and like what, 70 people were making a living playing, maybe.
Yeah.
The odds are just astronomical. I would venture that there is probably better odds of being a professional football player than there are of being a highly successful professional disc golfer.
For the next 10 years. But after that.
Right. Oh, yeah. But it's always have fun. And, and the main thing is that, it is okay to disagree with the PDGA, right? It is okay to disagree with the rules, right? It is okay to say this Mando rule is stupid, right? But what's not okay is to choose not to follow it or not to respect it, right? And it's also not okay to not take proactive and measurable ways to have your voice heard, right? If you are a PDGA member, right, and you do not like a rule, email the rules committee and explain what you don't like about it. If you don't like a tournament practice, email the competition committee and explain that, right? There are 31, I believe, PDGA employees. Every single one of us has our emails posted on the website, right? Reach out to us. We are there to support every one of you as members, right? There are things that I don't agree with. There are things that but going on, and I'm not saying y'all do this, right? But, going on social media and just being like, the PDGA sucks, hashtag, Mando rule, right? Like, that's not doing anything.
It's been 11 days without an accident in this house. So, yeah.
Right. But like, it just, my core thing is that always have fun, right? It's just a game, right? If you're not having fun, like I hit a point in my playing career where I was not having fun playing 30 events a year. So now I play like 7 and I focus on courses I like, events I like, all of that. And it's been a lot more fun for me. But, and do not be afraid, as a member of the organization, and please, by God, vote in the elections, right? I don't want to get into transgender stuff, but like whatever your stance is on that, the board of directors controls that, right?
Vote in that, yeah.
Vote on, read candidate statements, right? Adam and Austin, Cody, the four of us might have completely different ideas of where the next 3 or 4 years.
We absolutely do.
And that's right.
And between the three of us, there's 4 different arguments.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you might make the 5th and 6th argument.
Right. And the PDGA is a democracy, right?
Yeah.
If you believe that we should be having, officials on cards, right? And you see a candidate that has that in their mission statement, then go vote for that person.
Yeah.
Right? If you believe that we need to adjust our transgender policy and you see a candidate running on that platform that you agree with, vote for or against that person. Right? I mean, the board of directors is, we have an organizational chart that we're working on to really publish to members that's about to come out. And it's got, Joe, right? And right above here, above his head is members, board of directors.
Right? I like that. That's a classic. Hey guys, don't forget you're in charge.
I'm sure Danny saw it on like a business book or something.
Danny Googled.
He told you to do it. I get it.
Feel important. Yeah.
But like we're joking about a very serious thing right here. Vote, make your voice heard. And the first tournament I ever ran was just because I was like, yeah, this seems like a fun way to get some people together. And the first big tournament I ran was because I played an event that I didn't like. And I was like, I could do this better.
Damn.
It's a good motivator. Anger is a great motivator.
Same story.
And I didn't go on at the time we didn't have Facebook, right? I didn't go on the PDGA discussion board and trash the event. I didn't, whatever. I just said, I'm not going to play this event anymore, and I'm going to start running events the way I think they should be run. And here we are.
Exactly. Mr. Leonard, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for bearing with us being the idiots that we are at times. Thanks for clarifying some things. I think at some point in the future, we're going to have a month where we just do tournament directors for the whole month. Just make it tournament director month. And if you'd like to come back and speak as just a tournament director, not as a logistics guy or a discipline guy, we'd love to have you back.
Good Lord, that sounds like a boring month.
I'm not sure I can do another 2 hours of this.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, Freddie Freeman's not coming back. Just give him a second.
Oh, my God. Kick him out. He's out. Kick him the fuck out.
I'm full on Matt Olson, bro. Matt Olson's from the same area I grew up in.
Let him go back to Cali. I'm sick of LA people eating at all my restaurants in Atlanta. They can go back to LA.
Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck LA.
Right, if you are a sports fan, which I know all 3 of you are, the best Twitter follow is there is a page called Not Atlanta Thrashers. And it is like every single, or it's something like Not Atlanta or Not the Thrashers or Fake Thrashers or something.
Yeah.
It is the best Twitter follow you've ever seen because for example, there was a big thing here in Carolina where with restricted free agents in hockey, it looks a little weird. And Montreal tried to steal one of our restricted free agents. And they call it an offer sheet, right? And then that account tweeted the Atlanta Thrashers have signed Sebastian Aho to an offer sheet. It's just.
I wish we still had a fucking team, bro.
As people rooted in Georgia, it is just pure. It is just fantastic, and
I'll have to check that out.
Thrashers games were like some of my best memories as a kid. Actually,
Ilya Kovalchuk, man.
When the Braves were in the suburbs, that was fun too.
I had a Kovalchuk jersey.
Man. God almighty, that guy was good. All right.
But I also had a Chipper Jones and Andrew Jones jersey.
I was at Bobby Cox's last game. Good story.
Love everybody, bye.
I was at Chipper Jones' last walk-off.
I was at the game where John Rocker returned from suspension from his comments about New York and Sports Illustrated.
You mean Kenny Powers? Yeah. Anyway.
Kenny Powers.
All right. Y'all have a good night. Please
Robert, thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Bobby. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, brother.
Hey, bud. Yeah. All right, Champions Cup is happening April 14th through 17th at the International Disc Golf Center in Appling, Georgia. There are like 20 tickets left for Friday. Maybe not even that many tickets for Saturday. If you haven't bought them yet, you're probably not going to get them. So you're going to have to scalp them or sneak in. I can tell you which way in Wildwood Park to sneak over the fence. I didn't say that on air.
Bell was like, dude, these fuckers are still on. He logged
Is that what
off,
he just
came
said?
back. Yeah.
Record-breaking, no, it's not.
show.
No, it's not. Philo didn't come on until an hour 5, and we went another hour and 10 with him. So I took 2 pee breaks during the Philo show. That's facts.
Yeah, I'm on verge of pee break and nicotine at the moment.
Yeah, same here. You want to go first or me?
I mean, y'all have a great night. I'm Austin Lytle. Adam will see your way out.
Yeah, bye. Hey, I'm Adam. Thanks for watching Frolfcenter. I know that was a long episode. I think it was full of a lot of really good information. Robert Leonard is a great guy. Danny Voss, I hope we didn't piss you off too bad. I hope Robert Leonard doesn't have a sternly written email in his inbox tomorrow. Don't forget the most important thing. This is all just a commercial for Frolfer Fridays. Starts tomorrow at Perkerson Park. $10 all in, $2 to play. If you're one of the ladies who's coming to play, that $2 is waived for week 1. I got trophies at the end of the whole thing. Every single night after league, we're going to go to Halfway Crooks, and if you go bogey free, I'm going to buy your first beer. Thanks a lot. This was Frolfcenter. See you soon. Bye.
Shoppers, can I get a fucking oh yeah? Thank you.